The sun had barely risen over the quiet suburban streets when the rumble of motorcycle engines shattered the silence. Chrome gleamed under the morning light as a group of rugged bikers rolled into a sleepy little town, their leather jackets and heavy boots announcing their presence long before their faces came into view. They looked intimidating to anyone watching from a distance, the kind of men you wouldn't want to cross paths with in a dark alley. But that morning, fate had chosen them to cross paths with someone very different. A little girl clutching a frail white kitten to her chest, standing at the corner of a grocery store parking lot with eyes too sad for her age. If you believe that kindness still exists in this world, if you believe in second chances, love, and the power of compassion, then please take a moment to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel. Because what you're about to hear is not just a story, it's a reminder that goodness can be found in the unlikeliest hearts. The leader of the bikers, a man named Ray, was the first to notice her. He was a tall man in his late 40s, with streaks of grey in his beard and a leather jacket that had seen countless miles on the road. He was parking his motorcycle near the convenience store when he spotted her. A little girl no older than 7, wearing a faded pink dress with cartoon cats printed all over it. Her hair was tied in a messy ponytail, and her cheeks were smudged with dirt. She stood frozen in place, staring at him nervously, holding her kitten tight as if it were her last piece of hope in the world. Ray would later say that something in her eyes hit him harder than any punch he'd ever taken. It wasn't just sadness. It was hunger, fear, and the quiet desperation of someone who had already lost too much. The little girl took a hesitant step forward and whispered words that would stop the whole gang in their tracks. "Sir, please, buy my cat. Mummy hasn't eaten in 2 days." The sentence fell like a stone into silence. Even the steady hum of the motorcycle seemed to fade away. Ray blinked, unsure if he'd heard her right. Behind him, his crew, tough men with tattoos, scars, and years of hard living, stood frozen, looking between each other in disbelief. The little girl clutched her kitten tighter, tears pooling in her eyes as if afraid he might say no. The scene felt surreal. Here they were, men known for roaring engines and loud bars, being faced with a small child trying to sell her pet just so her mother could eat. Ray took a slow step closer, his boots heavy on the pavement, and saw the kitten trembling in her hands. Its tiny body pressed against her chest for warmth. Her voice trembled as she added, "She's a good kitty. I don't want to sell her, but Mummy said we have to." Ray's heart broke a little right then. He crouched down so he could meet her at eye level, noticing the dark circles under her eyes and the way her lips looked cracked from thirst. This wasn't just a child trying to help. This was survival. He asked her name, and she told him softly, "Lily." She explained that her mom had lost her job at the diner 2 months ago. Since then, they'd been living out of a small, broken-down car parked behind an old gas station. The kitten, Snowy, was the only comfort Lily had after her father walked out on them. Ray turned to his crew. Most of these men had rough pasts, broken homes, bad choices, long roads of regret. But they all shared one thing: deep down, they knew what it felt like to be lost. One of them, Mike, muttered, "Man, this ain't right." Another, Jax, pulled off his sunglasses, his eyes wet. Without needing a word, they all knew what they had to do. Ray reached into his wallet, pulled out a $100 bill, and pressed it into Lily's small hand. "I'll buy the cat," he said gently, "but you keep her, okay?" She stared at the bill, wide-eyed, as if she couldn't believe what was happening. "Take this to your mom," Ray continued, "and tell her breakfast's on us." He turned to the others and said, "Boys, we've got some groceries to buy." What happened next would turn that ordinary grocery store into a place of tears and applause. The bikers walked in together, 6 leather-clad men who normally drew wary looks, and began filling shopping carts: bread, milk, fruits, meat, baby wipes, bottled water, anything a struggling mother and child could need. The cashier looked stunned as the items piled up on the counter. When Ray explained it was all for a little girl outside, even she couldn't hold back her tears. Meanwhile, Lily stood by the motorcycles, hugging Snowy and watching through the window with disbelief. For the first time in weeks, she smiled, a tiny, fragile smile that could melt the hardest heart. When the bikers came out with bags full of groceries, she ran to them, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Mommy will be so happy," she whispered. Ray knelt again and said softly, "We'll make sure she's more than happy." They followed Lily to the place where she and her mother were staying, an old car hidden behind a gas station, surrounded by litter and overgrown weeds. Her mother, a thin woman in her early 30s, looked startled when she saw the bikers approaching. She rushed out, fear flashing in her tired eyes, until she saw Lily skipping ahead with Snowy in her arms and groceries in tow. Lily shouted, "Mommy, look! They bought food for us!" The woman froze. Her eyes filled with tears as she saw the men unloading bags and placing them gently beside the car. She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. "We can't accept this," she whispered, but Ray shook his head. "You're not accepting charity, Mom. You're accepting family." Those words broke whatever wall she had left. She covered her face and sobbed as Lily wrapped her arms around her waist. For the next few hours, the bikers transformed that forgotten corner into a place of hope. They fixed the cars, broken door, brought blankets and pillows from their storage, and even arranged for a mechanic friend to come by later to check the engine. One of them ran to a nearby diner and brought hot meals, real food, steaming and fresh. Lily's mother ate slowly at first, as if afraid it would all disappear. When she saw her daughter giggling for the first time in months, she couldn't stop crying. Later that evening, the bikers gathered around as Ray knelt beside Lily one last time. "You know," he said, "you remind me of someone I once knew, a girl who taught me that small kindness can change big hearts." He told her that he and his crew had all made mistakes in life, but helping her made them feel like they were doing something good for once. He handed her a leather patch from his jacket that said, "Brothers of the Road." "You're one of us now, little sister," he said. Lily hugged him tightly, clutching the patch against her heart. News of the encounter spread across town the next day. Someone who had seen everything recorded a short video. A small girl with a kitten surrounded by bikers carrying grocery bags. It went viral within hours. People began sending donations to help Lily and her mom find a place to stay. The local church offered temporary housing, and a small diner nearby hired her mother as a cook. Within a week they had a roof over their heads again, all because of one simple act of compassion that started with a little girl's plea. But what no one saw in that viral clip were the quiet moments after. Ray and his crew returned a few days later to check on them. They found Lily sitting outside the diner, still holding her kitten, wearing a new pink dress someone from the town had given her. She saw the motorcycles coming down the road and ran toward them with pure joy. "We got a house!" she shouted. Her mother followed behind, smiling, healthier and stronger now. She thanked the bikers over and over, saying, "You didn't just feed us, you saved us." Ray looked at her and simply replied, "You saved us too." Because, in truth, helping Lily had changed them. Each man in that group had carried his own pain, loss, regret, loneliness. But in that act of giving, they found something they hadn't felt in years: purpose. They started a local charity soon after called Angels on Wheels, dedicated to helping families in crisis. Every weekend they rode together, not to bars or rallies, but to shelters, schools, and hospitals. And each time they saw a child smile, they remembered Lily and the day she offered to sell her cat to save her mom. Weeks later, Ray received a small envelope in the mail. Inside was a hand-drawn picture, a group of bikers standing around a girl holding a kitten. At the bottom, written in childish handwriting, were the words, "Thank you for buying my cat, sir. I'll never forget you." If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more real stories that remind us of the power of kindness. And before we end, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Ray's place that morning? Because sometimes one small choice can change a life forever. As the sun set behind the horizon that evening, a little girl slept soundly in a warm bed, her kitten purring softly beside her. Across town, 6 bikers rode into the fading light, engines humming like steady heartbeats. They didn't need thanks, applause, or recognition. They had already found what they were looking for: redemption in the eyes of a child and proof that even the toughest hearts can be the kindest ones of all.